Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel for the first battle report in a long old time. And you find us on the plains in Spain where it mostly rains, I am led to believe. And we are doing a rather unusual fight here. We are doing the Battle of Sahagún. Now that's not how it's spelled, that is how I believe it is pronounced though. And what we're doing today is it is a cavalry only clash, so as you can see the battlefield is fairly open. General Dan is studying the rules pack / Wikipedia page. And so what we've got here is the French army, and that is all laid out in its glory. Now, we've got two regiments here. We've got the French Dragoons. Now, these are actually supposed to be the 8th Dragoons. And you can see I've got 4 units of 8. And we've also got the 1st Provincial Chasseurs. Now, the reason why there's 3 units of Chasseurs, 4 units of Dragoons, despite them only being 1 regiment, is because for this game we've decided to increase or decrease the scale, however you want to look at it, and each one of these units, instead of being a cavalry regiment, is in fact a cavalry squadron. So we've got 4 squadrons of Dragoons, we've got 3 squadrons of Chasseurs. They will operate exactly the same as regiments do in Black Powder. So they're going to be stamina 3, they're going to have 7 attacks, they're going to be heavy cavalry D1, all that kind of good stuff. Now, what we are introducing for this scenario as a special rule is for the Chasseur. In the actual Battle of Sahagún, they, rather than countercharging the British cavalry, they stood and fired their carbines. I should say this is part of the 1808 retreat to Corunna, 1809 retreat to Corunna. I was over the winter, so this one I believe was in 1808, the 21st of December, there we are. And this was fought in Leon, so in the north of Spain. The cavalry tactics of the British were not that well known to the French at this time. So instead of countercharging, the French chasseurs stood and fired. So we are going to allow the French chasseur a firepower of 2. So they're going to have 2 shots per unit, but they're not going to be able to countercharge. They have to stand and shoot is their charge reaction. So I think that's a way of balancing out the armies, because we're going to get on to see what General Dan has brought to bring the pain. So here we have the British cavalry. This is General Dan's army. Now he's got 2 units here of British light cavalry. He's got the Hussars in the front and some light dragoons at the back, but they're both Hussars today. They are the 10th Hussars and the 15th Hussars, and they are led by the Honourable Henry Lord Paget, who would later become the 1st Marquis of Anglesey, and he was the colonel of the 7th Light Dragoons at this point. But he is commanding this army. I'm not sure if that's a Paget model actually. He's quite nice, so let's get a nice zoom in there. It is the Paget model, thank you, Dan. So he's got 4 squadrons of cavalry. He's going for the full 12 because he's got more models than me. So he's going for a squadron of 12 models. He's got 2 in the front, 2 in the back. There may be reserves in the back. We'll see how it goes. He also has this cheeky boy here. This is some Royal Horse Artillery. Now, we've not got the models for those, because weirdly, front rank don't make them. So we're going to use line artillery, but they should be horse artillery. Remember, the rules for horse artillery means that they can unlimit and fire in the same turn. So they could be quite spicy, dancing around the flanks of the French cavalry. So you can see the plain of Sahagún is ahead of us. Now, actually, where the road is actually should be a river, but it doesn't seem to really have had much influence on the battle itself, because it certainly didn't hold the British up. So we've just replaced it with a road for this one, mainly because I couldn't find the river, so that's why. But here we go. The British are going to be on this side, the French are going to be on there, and it's going to basically be who can break the enemy army first. So let's see how we go after turn 1. Deployment's not exactly going to be the most exciting thing in the world. In fact, I will do a quick video after deployment with maybe some battle plans. So this is the deployment. We've got 2 lines of French cavalry. This is how they were historically deployed. The chasseurs at the front, the dragoons behind, and facing off against them the 10th Hussars and their attendant horse artillery. Oh, sorry, the 15th Hussars and their attendant Royal Horse Artillery with them. Now, the 10th are going to come on as reserves. In the actual battle, the British Hussars managed to smash straight through the chasseurs into the Dragoons before the Dragoons could react. We'll see if that's how it goes here today. And one thing that one of the reasons why I think this is such a good battle is that I've often said I think the French need to be one class heavier than the British to have any chance of beating them. So this is a really good example of that. We've got some light British cavalry here, and we've got some medium French cavalry on the other side of the field. The British are also outnumbered, so let's see how this one's going to go, because the British do also have the edge in shooting, which is something that usually the French might have a bonus in, just purely because of the numbers rather than the ability of the shooters. But let's see how it goes. That's the deployment. We're going to see who goes first, and then we're going to get on with turn 1. So as the morning mist clears, General Paget gets to go first. Now we're going to count all the commanders here as Command 7. So the British going up that small hill there. You can't really see it from this angle. Let me get down and have a look at the soldier's eye view. So here's the Lord Paget, and he's looking out over the little brow ridge, and he's seeing the enemy cavalry patrolling around about there. He's decided to spur his men forward. So Dan, what's going to be your order?
We're going to charge the 2 French chasseurs units.
Okay, Dan clearly not wanting, he's obviously got to be home by 8 o'clock tonight, so yeah, he's going straight in. Let's see. A 9. The men do not fancy such a reckless order, and they stay where they are. So the French, they are going to be slightly more tactical, shall we say. And the 1st Provincial Chasseurs are going to be ordered to make 2 moves. So they're going to go from here, that's my beer, they're going to move to between the field and the Spanish town. Now, as I say, I am Command 7. Let's see how this goes. A 5, perfect, 2 moves. So I'll be back after I've moved them. So they've moved into position between the field and the town, protecting the beer. That's the most important role that they're doing at the moment. So now we've got the chasseurs on the left-hand side. They are going to try the same thing. They're going to try and hide in the paperwork next to that field there. So let's see what they can roll. They've rolled a 9, so no good for them. They are not going to be able to move, but I've got one potential flanking force there. That's not necessarily the end of the world. That's the chasseurs done. But now the colonel of the Dragoons is going to order his right-hand unit, left-hand as we look at it here. He's going to order those guys to the front of that hill, forming up slightly in front of the chasseurs. Ooh, what's it going to be? It's going to be a 7, so they get 1 move as well. So I'm going to move those into that gap there, and that's going to be the end of turn 1. So that's the end of turn 1. We move into turn 2. The British, paralysed by fear at seeing the number of mighty French cavalry opposite to them on the plain. I'm sure that's not the case. But what are we going to do, Dan? What's the orders going to be?
The left-hand unit will charge the Dragoons.
Oh, okie dokie. Okay, so that's probably going to be a minimum of 2 moves. Let's see. Let's see what the general can roll. Oh, a double 1. They are super keen. They are definitely in range. Now, my Dragoons do not have to stand and shoot, so they will countercharge. So, what do you want to do with your 2nd unit, Dan?
And then the 2nd unit will charge the rightmost chasseurs.
Squadron of chasseurs. Okay, yep. Oh, a 10. No good. So we're going to move these troops into contact, and then we'll be back when we start rolling them bones. So this is where the clash is going to take place. Now, the astute of you will have seen that the Dragoons didn't move very far. This is because we used the rules that we introduced for Under Eagles to Glory, and that is if you are charging and it's multiple moves, you move the full distance of the move, and the countercharge is only in the move that's the charge, basically. So Dan's got 18 inches to sort of here, another 18 inches to here, and then the difference between them was about 4 inches. So the Dragoons have moved 2 inches, but it's just enough to take them out of support from their chasseur buddies. I should have thought about that. but I didn't. So we are coming to the close combat rolling. Now, the Brits, of course, they have the gallop at everything special rule, so they will be re-rolling all of their 6 dice that Danny's going to be rolling here. He charged, he's hitting on 3s, as if he needs to re-roll. I mean, come on. Now, my Dragoons, they roll 8 dice. They are also hitting on 3s, so they counter-charge. No re-rolls here, but they did get 7 hits, so that's a bit tasty. They took 6 hits in return, so let's roll some 4-ups. And, 4 of those go through. So they have suffered 4 casualties, which will shake them, and is 1 excess. The Brits also saving on a 4+.
So 3 over.
So 3 over. So they lose the combat. Did you roll 6 fails there, was it?
Yeah.
I think it was 5.
And 3 over.
I think you're only 2 over. So this is going to be a test at -2, because I think the Brits failed 2 of their... 5 of their saving throws there. So a 7, drop 2, goes down to 5. Oh, that one made all the difference. So they're going to fall back 2 moves. Now, my Dragoons are shaken, so they cannot, I believe, follow up. So they are going to drop back. So we'll come back after we have sorted out the positions of the troops. So after that combat, the Dragoons have retired to there, and as Dan correctly pointed out, his guys have gone back 2 moves. They went forward 2 moves and 2 inches, so they're actually just advanced 2 inches. But they are shaken, as are my guys. Now, because he's not under half strength, that doesn't count as a broken brigade, because, well, 3 reasons. The first one is he's not actually under half strength. Now, that's a change that we made in the Under Eagles to Glory rules pack. Instead of being at half strength to break a brigade, they have to be under half strength. The second reason is that it is a brigade of 2 units. So you can't actually break a brigade of 2 units. You need to destroy both of them. And thirdly, both of those units also have Marauder. So you can't break a brigade that is made up entirely of Marauder troops. So apart from that, they're not broken. So if you're wondering why the other squadron's going to be able to advance, then it's for those 3 reasons. But that's the end of British turn 2. It now goes to the French, and they are going to try and capitalise on their dragoony goodness with these chasseurs that took position last turn, charging the British cavalry here. Now, they're going to need 2 moves for this. They are a long way from their regimental commander, but they are chasseurs. They have the Marauder special rule. They ignore that. So they're going to need to get a 5 or less, effectively. A 6 might leave them hanging out in no man's land. Oh, they reply with a double 1. So they're going to charge into the British cavalry. Now, they're not going to be able to countercharge because they are shaken. So we will be back. In fact, no, I'll do the rest of the moves first. So the chasseurs on my right... my left, the right as we're looking at them on the screen, they are going to move over to the field here. Basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use my superior numbers to move around the British. So they're going to probably need 2 moves for this as well, which they get, so I'll move those shortly. And then the chasseurs in the centre are going to advance 1 move, which they get with a 4. So that's a great turn for the chasseur commander. Let's see if his dragoon comrade can help him. The 3 units that aren't shaken are going to make 1 move straight forward. On a 7, they do. And then I'm going to try and rally the damaged units. On a 10, I don't. But because I attempted to do that, the commander has to join the unit. So we're going to be back after I've done all that moving, and then we will get on with the fighty-fighty. So that's the position after movement. The French colonel has joined the regiment of dragoons back there. Everyone else has shuffled forward. This is going to be a little bit dangerous because he's away from the main body of his troops, and his dragoons do not have Marauder, so that could be a problem. The British here, they could not countercharge, which again is not necessarily the worst thing in the world because they are now supported from the flank there. So, Dan, do you want to do your dice first? You've got 6 dice, and you're hitting me on 5s because you're shaken.
2.
It's a good effort, though. And I'm attacking you back. I've only got 6 dice with the chasseurs, and they are hitting on 3s. Ooh, it finally rolls onto a 3, so that's 4 hits back. So I've got 2 saves of 4+. At least they can't shake me, so I've got that going for me. Oh, look at that, a double eagle. The chasseurs, they only fail 1. Now, this is an interesting thing because they are supported to the flank. Now, we're going to have to check something else as well to see if artillery can support. I believe it can, but it can't be supported. It might be the other way around, so we're just going to have to check the rules on that one, because this is going to be the difference between a draw or a victory for the British. And this is what I've mentioned before when talking about stacking static combat res. Try saying that when drunk. So what that means is the Brits are already 2-0 up before we've even rolled any dice. So that's where they get their advantage. It meant that despite me hitting on 3s, I had to overperform in order to win that combat. So Dan's just checking the rules there. I believe that they can support, but they cannot be supported. So I've taken no casualties, but it is a test for them. Let's see what I roll. It's a double 1. So that squadron of cavalry, despite blazing across the battlefield, have lost because of some Royal Horse artillery. Well, you know, them's the breaks. So, yeah, so I will take those guys off, and that's the end of the French turn. So you will see that that unit has not been removed because we had another look at the rule book. And in this column here, there was nothing to say that artillery can't support. But in the second column, it says here, limited artillery units cannot support. So for that reason, it was a drawn combat. And the Brits, being on their stamina, have to make a morale roll at, was it -1? So he rolled an 8, which is a 7. And cavalry have to fall back 1 move. So the cavalry are going to fall back off the table. Now, for this scenario, they are not going to be out of the game. They're just going to be off the table. They can be rallied from off table. But these chasseurs, who rolled a double 6 for their saves, are going to be able to pursue, and they're going to go into the horse artillery. So, it's now a combat for the horse artillery. I've got absolutely no idea what they roll, but I suspect it'll be 1 or 2 dice. For the chasseurs, they're rolling to hit on 3s, and they do a pretty good job. They get 5 hits. One attack back. Oh, it's good though. It's a hit. Save with another 6. These chasseurs, I am using the guard chasseur models. So, yeah. So, because the cannon cannot win that fight, even if, well, no, if you save all your saves, you can. So, oh, it'll be a draw then, won't it? Yeah. So, yeah, that's fair enough. Dan's not even going to do me the courtesy of rolling his saves as my saboeurs cut down his Royal Horse Artillery. Those guys are going to be off the table as well. And the chasseurs, spent after their mighty efforts, are going to drop back here. Unfortunately for them, it's now going to be British turn 3, and 2 very angry squadrons of hussars are about to enter the battlefield. Now, as I said, those ones who've fled off, the Royal Horse Artillery has been destroyed, so that won't be able to come back. But the hussars who went off the table, they will. But Dan's going to, what are you rolling for first, my friend?
I'll start with what's on the table.
Okay, that makes sense to me. What would you like to do with them?
We're going to stick to theme.
Yep.
And we're going to charge straight into that unit.
Is that with a follow me order from the Honourable Lord Paget?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I've forgotten about until right now is the Brits get a +1 to their command rolls when charging, don't they? So, luckily it hasn't mattered so far, and it still doesn't matter. So, rooted to the spot in fear. But the other squadrons, they can come on.
Yeah. They will come on to the left.
Okay.
Did we say that they could charge?
They can charge the turn they come on. They're going to need to come on, that's 1 move, and then charge, there'll be a second move. Yeah.
Charge with 1.
Okay, I should have moved further back. Oh, yeah, these guys are coming steaming in. Now, these are chasseurs. Now, as per the special rules of this mission, I cannot countercharge. I have to stand and fire my carbines with 2 shots. So we will do that. I'm looking for a big 6 here. Now, this is one of those things where the French tried it out and they didn't succeed for them. If I roll a 6 here, it's probably better than countercharging. If I don't roll a 6, it's probably not as good as countercharging. Let's see how it goes. I have rolled a 6 and a 3, so that's 2 hits because you're at point blank range.
One goes through.
So 1 goes through. But most importantly of all, that is a disorder. Now that's good because it's going to make this combat more interesting. Without that disorder, I think this will be an absolute walkover for the British. I still suspect they're going to have a very good chance of winning anyway, but we'll see how it goes. Now the chasseurs, they did not charge, so they have 6 attacks, and they are hitting on a puny 4+ for 3 hits. So it's not bad. It made a difference of a hit. The Brits attacking back with a horrifying amount of dice, re-rolling 2 misses.
3 misses, comes in on 4.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you disordered, aren't you? Sorry, yeah.
4 in total.
4 in total. So not bad, not bad. 3 from me, and I save. Wowzers!
Yep.
So,
1 excess.
oh, excuse me. I anyone who has seen any of my battle reports, that's insane. That is an insane number of 6s. This makes up for last week where I had terrible dice. This, I cannot believe it. So
-2.
it is now. That were 2 went through against Dan there. I didn't take any, but Dan has a support.
4 went through.
Oh, 4 went through.
Yeah,
oh, right,
so,
okay.
2x, -2, plus -1 for disorder, so this at -3.
Okay.
So 6.
So that's a fallback 1 move, and I think you become disordered on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to do at this point. Do I follow up? Do I ride my luck?
It's because you build this up as the hype of how good British cavalry are.
It probably is, yeah.
And then
It's because I'm using the Guard chasseur models, that's why.
it's exactly the same as when we did the large Austrian units online using close fireball. And that was just...
That was a great battle if you've not seen that one. Well, I mean, they've not taken any casualties yet, so I guess we go on. This is unprecedented. Now, there's no charge reaction from the British, so let's see. I'm hitting on 3s this time when I'm charging. Oh, not so good. I think they were a bit exhausted. Only 3 hits this time. And the Brits attacking back. They don't get their rerolls, but they still do get 6 attacks. Oh, this is obviously the senior squadron. They are not impressed. So 5 hits on me, 3 on the Brits. Let's see if I can do it, man. Sure. I mean, definitely not. But let's see how many casualties I take.
We ready for another shaking unit?
Yeah. Wow. Sorry, this is very poor sportsmanship. But honestly, long-time viewers of the channel will appreciate I do not roll dice like this. This is not my normal dice rolling. So 2 go through. It's a loss for the British cavalry. They aren't shaken though, so no minuses to this roll. It's a 4, so they do explode. However, so well. These guys, the little chasseurs that could, ladies and gentlemen, I am genuinely gobsmacked. When I trail this video, I'm going to say it's the most extraordinary battle you have ever seen. And
because when we were the event, this was exactly how the game was going on.
yeah.
We were just pissing ourselves because it was just so one-sided.
Unbelievable. But right, we're going to tidy up after that turn, and we'll be back with turn 4. Well, with the lack of effectiveness of the British countercharge, I mean, the little chasseurs that could. Now, there's two ways I can go here. These guys are both shaken and disordered. Actually, they're no longer disordered, so they are shaken. They can't countercharge or intercept charge. Realistically, the best sort of the cheesy gamer thing will be for these guys to charge the flank of them, perhaps even then charge them in the front here. I'm not going to do that. That would be very unrealistic. For me, that would be a bit of a cheesy, silly move to do. So, the chasseurs here are going to charge the dragoons here, or the hussars, sorry. I didn't move them up in my turn. I'm going to move up so I'm within initiative range. So they're going to go in. And then over here, I'm going to order the... now, what do? Do I order the dragoons first? They're quite far away from their commander. Or do I order the chasseurs in against these hussars? The chasseurs are going to have less effectiveness, but let's see what we can do. So I'm going to order the chasseurs in the centre. They're going to try and charge the cavalry here. I'm going to need to do two moves for this, so I need a 5 or less. It's an 8, so that's a failed order. That's the end of the chasseurs move. Now the dragoon commander is going to rally his men, so he can move forward with them next turn, hopefully. He does rally 1 point of stamina off them, so I'm going to sort that out, then I'll move the troops in, and then we'll be back with the combat. So with the dragoons slightly rallied, the beer slightly more drained, the combat comes over to here. Now, the hussars couldn't countercharge because they are shaken, so they're going to be rolling 6 dice, and they're going to need 5s to hit, -1 for being shaken. Oh, these guys are fighting hard. 2 hits, and they don't get to re-roll here, because they don't count as charging. Now, the chasseurs, they are hitting on 3s, because they are charging. And not bad, 2 more 6s. I'm going to use these dice more often. That's 4 hits on the hussars. 4 of them go through. And how many did you do on me, sorry, Dan? 2. 2 on me, so let's do some savings. Oh, another one goes through. No 6s this time. But the hussars lost that combat by 4, so this is a test at -4.
I fall back off the table.
They fall back off the table. So that's pretty good for the chasseurs. The chasseurs are also going to fall back. They're going to fall back to this field here. And that's going to be the end of French turn 4. So the chasseurs have moved back there. They've now taken 2 casualties. Dan is going to try one last attempt. Right out with me. For death and glory. He's going to be shouting, "Death! Death!" as he charges. Oh, he does do it. So that was a with me order, and the chasseurs are going to have to stand and shoot, as is their special rule in this scenario. So they're hitting on 3s. Here comes a double 6. Yay! 2 hits, including a 6. One goes through. Now, again, this is, as I was saying, the French did stand and shoot. This was the reason why they stood and shot, was to try and disorder the enemy charges. What they failed to understand is British charges were completely disorganised anyway, so it didn't really make any difference. But in the game, unfortunately for Dan, it does. So we're going to move those hussars into contact there, and then we'll be back with the combat phase. So the charge has gone in. Now, we were looking for rules for Sir Paget. There aren't any. So we're going to give him +2 attacks, because he was hard as nails. But because of the disorder, they're now going back to hitting on 4s. So here comes a big roll. They are re-rolling their misses this time. This is going to be important. Very important in this roll, it turns out. I'm going to say Paget is the... Yeah.
Paget sucks.
Maybe he's not that good a fighter after all. But that's not bad, though. That's still 5 hits, so that's still pretty good. So the chasseurs fighting back, hitting on 4s because they didn't charge. They are not as skilled as their brethren, so only 2 hits. So 2 saves. This could shake them, though. Oh, it doesn't. Here comes a double 6 in return. And the chasseurs, they fail 3. So they lose that combat, and they have to take a morale test. No negatives to this, though. It's a 10. They will fall back 1 move. They're going to fall back. Normally it's straight back, but because of the Under Eagles to Glory rules, they're actually going to fall back to the side in front of those mauled dragoons. So we'll be back when we have moved them, because Dan will then decide. Well, actually, Dan doesn't get to decide. Dan has to overrun straight forward, because he has got gallop at everything. So the British have to overrun. That is their gallop at everything special. Now again, going to the Under Eagles to Glory pack, we can see that they don't get their rerolls for this overrun move. And that's to represent, say, at the Battle of Waterloo, they charged through D'Erlon's corps and the horses were exhausted. That's how they were able to be caught out by the lancers. That said, I'm still not super thrilled by this. So they're hitting on force, no rerolls this time. But let's see how Dan can come on. He's coming back strong. 2 hits there, is it? 3 hits. Paget got one of his licks in there, though. So 4 saves for the Dragoons, 2 go through. That's not great. And he's 8 attacks back from there. Let's get 2 more dice. Now these are 2 fresh dice. Does that mean they're going to dilute the quality of the earlier dice, or are they going to be at full power? Let's find out. They are at full power. Ooh, look at that. That is rather tasty. 6 hits. Wow. And 4 of those go through. So it's just, and in addition to the heavy cavalry D1, the Dragoons win that quite handily. This is going to be a test at -2 for the British. -3, sorry. Yep, they are gone. Now, more importantly than whether the unit goes or not, we have to see if General Paget dies or not.
He deserves to, actually.
Well, he got a kill him at the end. No, he doesn't. He's okay. But that's the end of this very, very surprising battle. This was the Battle of Sahagún. Very, very different to the historical outcome. In fact, actually, it's kind of how the historical battle went, but the other way around. Yeah. And it was the chasseurs that did all the casualty. It's kind of like the Battle of Mons Grappius, where the Roman legionaries just sat back and watched the auxiliaries do everything. So, wow, what a crazy game that was. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to reset for the second part of this battle, which is the... we'll tell you when we've reset. But because I won this battle, it's going to mean that my troopers get a bonus to their morale.